Okay, so let's go ahead and release some of these new ideas. I just want to get these out here so that patents pending or patents previously sought after will be debunked by this video because I want to keep these ideas going. A very quick update on Blankcanvas. I have it working to the point where native script is now coming into play. I'm trying to make the desktop, web, and mobile interface all in sync. This may take some time, but it's time worth doing. That means my interface is transferable across Android, iOS. It's also sharing the database through Android and iOS, which is great. Also, it will share through any desktop, Linux, hopefully, mostly, but it will also run on Windows and Mac. And also, the interface will be accessible through the web, which means that all of the feature sets through the technology that I have described and the architectures that I've described will allow an interface full advantage, whether it be from the web and mobile. And that's because we are treating the main server, we're treating the computer who's sharing the interface as the main server. So a server has access to everything the server has access to. As long as you provide it credentials, everybody can access that server on a local or global network. Of course, a global network will need, will bring in pricing and will bring in cloud services, or you can host it on your own cloud provider, but you will have to set it up and all the support is on you. If that's the case, we still want to make some money out of it, but I only want to make money out of it when you need it. I want the whole thing of creating and making spreadsheets and Word documents and graphics and videos and everything for free. It's all Blankcanvas is all free, but when you need to go through a cloud service, you still have to pay the ISPs, you still have to host it somewhere, you still have to have this stuff. And this is where we come in and start to make money. And we make money through the store as well, so people can sell their assets. We make a cut of that. We reinvest it back into the software, so it makes it better for everybody, really. It's a whole ecosystem that's completely different. And it'd be a shame to just throw it away. Okay, so first of all, voice control from other devices. I could say through my tablet, go ahead and change all of my brand name, Avalex, to Lawrence. If I give this voice command to my tablet, it will send it to the server, or if indeed the tablet is the server, it can edit all the text boxes and text fields directly in the canvas. But the great thing is that you can receive voice controls from everybody else on the network. So if somebody just cannot be bothered, I think that a large part of this, you can do your find and replace, and you can do all of this stuff. It's not an issue. It's very easy to do. But sometimes voicing the commands means that there's less room for error and a bit more time for you to focus on other tasks. So there you go, voice control for Blankcanvas. Link to images can be dynamic from like a database or a data source that is live. I think that this is really, really important. For example, you could store employee, I'll just give one example of a million. Let's say you host a database. Obviously, Blankcanvas can gain access to and will be able to gain access to any database in the world. And what you can do is host all of your employees' faces, their images, in a database. So there you go. And then let's say you want to create a poster for employees that have been there for 10 years. So you want to look through the database, you want to find everybody who has been there for 10 years dynamically. Create an SQL statement, pull all those images out, put them into a piece of artwork, put them into a poster. Here's our main employees, our most supportive employees, or our longest serving employees, whatever you want to say. Put it into a poster and it automatically generates. That is now possible with the technology that's driving Blankcanvas. It's very easy, it's very possible. It's not like it's anything new, it's just adding an extra layer of connectivity from the artistic side of things to the dynamic side of things, and that's just one of many instances. Okay, so you should now not only be able to say, right, place an image in from your hard drive like you normally do in any graphics editor. You can pull those images in from social media, and if it updates on social media, it'll update on your canvas automatically. If you don't want it to, or if somebody deletes that image and it's a broken link, then it will just keep a copy of the image that it currently has and the current downloaded version of that image. If it's accidentally deleted off the server, if it's moved somewhere else, if it breaks the link, it won't necessarily break the graphics. The graphics will just use whatever it attained previously, and it will just stay like that. If you delete it, it'll just stay like that. If you update it, however, it will download the new version of the image. We can also have an index, a preview of each artboard, and when you click it, it scrolls to the correct artboard. Okay, so, you know, think of many programs that let you create artboards in one environment. What you'll be able to do is drop down a pane. You can click on each artboard. You'll have a little thumbnail. So let's say this is the window. Here's all your little artboards down here that you can move around and And then at the top, right here, you're going to have preview thumbnails. You know, this can drop down and you can just click the preview and it will scroll to the right area. Or you can just temporarily just show that artboard. So a lot of the time when you want to design something, you don't necessarily want to see the other artboards. You might just want to hide those artboards and just focus on one. So my intention for Blankcanvas is to have one universal canvas, 3JS canvas, that renders multiple artboards or a single artboard at any one time, and it's only allowed one canvas. That means the memory and the execution of 3JS is more efficient. I don't want several tabs open. Every time you open a tab or a document or a different set of artboards, then it will have to re-render that particular canvas. And at WebGL speed, it's absolutely blazingly fast. Have the export of all the SCSS all together or divided into sections, such as positioning, typography, and so forth. Okay, so you know when you see these programs, InVision is one of them. If you haven't done it, check it out. All you do is you have these designs. If you click a certain part of the design, it generates the SCSS. Well, with mine, you can have all of the SCSS for that particular one web component. Or what you could do is break that SCSS down into different sections. So, for example, the styles just for the typography, the styles just for the layout, another section for positioning. Because a lot of the times, and I found this when I'm building stuff, I have to position stuff. The positioning is garbage that comes out of these programs because they're not dynamic and they don't serve the purpose. But the font size and the font family and that's more interesting to me. So what I'd like to do is break the styles down and group styles together. You can download it all as one, or you could have it broken down. That way I can just copy out all the font styles, and then as I'm building out the web page in the browser or in Visual Studio Code, I'm just copying the bit of CSS that I'm interested in, not the bit that's garbage. For example, position left, 256 pixels. Well, that's no good to me. It's centered on a that sized artboard, but as soon as you make the browser bigger and smaller, it's bloody useless and it's no good. If it's responsive, it's no good anyway. So most of the code that it produces, especially stuff from InVision, is relatively useless, to be honest. The only thing that really does set it apart is styling for fonts and things like that. So it's just a nice little, it's just a nicety. Every asset will be GSAP animated into 3JS and also parallax scrolling. So you'll be able to create web components with scrolling. You'll be able to create pretty much anything you want really with scrolling. And every asset can have the GSAP animation. So GSAP as the base library is available as an open source thing. You can get plugins for it, but I found that GSAP is a very intuitive interface. And I think that we can integrate that successfully. I'm just going to double check the licenses don't conflict with GPL v3, which is what Blankcanvas is under. If it is under GPL v3's permission set, in other words, it will allow or coexist with that license, then we'll definitely use GSAP because I've used it and I think it's awesome. Okay, on the splash screen where you see all your projects, you will have a simple and editable interface with admins and user management with shareable projects, downloads, and information. Some of this needs cloud subscription to share if no host is provided. Okay, so what the hell did I just say? When you go on and you go on to, let's say, open up one of your favorite applications, normally there'll be a splash screen with the most recent documents or whatever. Now, for larger scale corporations, this becomes even more burdensome because that list is nowhere near long enough. It's not filterable. It's not searchable. You can't sort of tie in other assets as well. Blankcanvas will be very good at tying in other assets because you can embed spreadsheets, Word documents, images, videos, all into one, if you really wanted to, into one document. So it does that collating data together perfectly fine. However, the issue that you will face is, for example, if you want 1,000 or 2,000 projects, this is where sharing stuff becomes very difficult. So instead of just having a splash screen, my idea is having a sort of project-based filtering system. So, and most agencies will admit that they have their own system for this, where they'll set up a project. They will set up files and they'll link assets together, and those links and all those files are shareable across different platforms. Maybe they want to share it with an agency, maybe they want to share it internally, it doesn't really matter. And you can search for it just like a Google search, and you can filter. You might have a big company with multiple brands, so you'll be able to filter by brands, filter by description, filter by job number, filter by job title, and you also have links like where's the right task, or where's the link to the Jira ticket that's attaining to this particular job. And I also think that there's a great place for management software to be placed inside of this software. For example, Jira tickets, Reich tickets, there's a good opportunity there for them to plug into Blankcanvas as long as the code is open. Plug into Blankcanvas, use their APIs, and ultimately integrate very closely into the tool set. So whilst you're designing, it's recording down what you're doing, how much you've done, and why you've done it. And that can all be automated, which is something quite interesting. But basically, it's just like the open recent screen, but with more control. So you can add jobs, you can add more recent files, or should we say jobs, and you can add more information about it, such as where is the right task, where is the Jira ticket, that type of stuff. And you can share it. You can click a share button, and you can share that with people over email as well. So if you want an agency involved, you can invite them in. We also have another idea. Integrate Image Optimum into the File widget, as well as live preview of videos and films as a tooltip hover over. Okay, this is dead simple. What the hell did I just say? If you've ever seen Visual Studio Code or an editor like Dreamweaver, whatever it is, you have a panel with images in, and it really annoys me when, okay, you have the image names, but sometimes you just want a preview of the image. So I'm just suggesting that when you hover over some media, after a certain time, maybe 1 or 2 seconds, if you keep your mouse over that file in that little sidebar bit for a few seconds, it will show you a live preview of the image or video file or whatever. It will just play it in a nice little pop-up window, so you can actually see the media instead of going open in File Explorer, find out this. No, I want to be immersed in this environment, especially when coding. Nothing's more annoying than having to open stuff up in Finder and manage this window. Imagine, I just want to do it all from one window. Okay, Blankcanvas idea. Make custom export window to work on all OSs, native script, and also a preview mode as well. So preview modes just let you alternate between all the devices, screen capture all the devices, for example, so you can figure out if your designs look good. Responsive artboards as well, so with responsive assets, it's allowing people to get closer to more of a developer side of things. Designers are not necessarily the best at user interfaces, and a large problem is they don't understand the restrictions, limitations, and other things that we developers have to suffer with. So My whole thing is the artboards are responsive. The artboards can be rendered on a plethora of devices all over the network, and you should be able to see the output of what you see, and hopefully that can transfer into email as well. I've seen lots and lots of tools for email building, and quite frankly, they're all shockingly bad. They're horrific, and I wouldn't recommend them at all. But I won't mention any brand names because I don't feel that's fair. But I think that this applies to multiple devices as well as email as well. And that's it. So yeah, we've got native script up and running in Blankcanvas. I'm getting these ideas out here, just flushing them out, making sure that we keep a free and open community. Thanks a lot.